Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another edition of the Papa D's Cooking Show at the Train in Fordsburg. Today again, I'll be preparing a restaurant-style meal for you, something that you'd also be able to enjoy on your braai. And what I'll be doing today is a lamb rib. I'm using the whole rack because lamb ribs don't usually have much fat on them. So therefore, if you cook it as a whole rack, it actually looks better, has better texture, and of course the meat pulls together off the bone, so it becomes quite meaty, even though it has so much fat. But the secret of it is, if you cook this in a conventional way, if you just took this, spiced it up, put it onto your braai stand, believe me, it's going to be a nightmare, because your meat will not be tender. You won't be able to eat it because there's a lot of sinew in this meat. So what I've managed to develop is that you first cook this in your pressure cooker, and I'll be using the Philips pressure cooker today, which is an electric little gadget, unlike your conventional pressure cooker that has the house coming down when you're busy cooking. And the cooking time is also so much less, and the good thing is there's no stirring or anything. You put it in here, put it on the timer, and you leave it. The rest will be done by the little chef, and when the time's up, it will even keep it warm for you. The only difference is that once it's done in the pressure cooker, I'm going to place it under the grill in my oven to crisp the fat nicely, because the rib has a lot of fat, and somehow when that fat is crackling, it actually becomes very, very nice to eat. So let's start off. Before I start with the meat, I just want to add some slits on it. You'll notice the bones are running this way, and I'm slitting across the bone. This will enable the spices to infuse right through. You'll notice how tough the sinew is on here. So you can imagine if this isn't properly prepared, it'll actually be a bit of a nightmare dish. There we have it. I've just put some slits on the right down to the bone. And there we are. We're ready with that. To start off with, I also want to have a bit of a sauce when I'm serving this, because I'm going to serve it as a grill with some chips, as you would probably have it in a restaurant. But I think after this, you'll probably ask your wife to do it at home. Just make sure she's got a Philips pressure fryer, and I'm sure she'll do it for you only with pleasure. I'm adding some oil to my pan. Just one more thing I'd like to bring to your notice. What I've done is I've actually used this cooker as a conventional pot, you might say. What I've done is I've left it on, and I'm just going to put the timer on so that the heat comes on. And I'm now going to prepare my sauce in here. So I don't need to prepare the sauce elsewhere and bring it in here. So the cooking time of this meal, the meat needs 40 minutes to be tender. Normally you would cook this for at least 3 to 4 hours on a conventional stove. I'm starting off with my tomato sauce. Always use a good quality tomato sauce. I couldn't emphasize more. I want it nice and saucy, so I've added a bit of... By adding the Worcester sauce in here, it actually makes it a barbecue sauce. Your tomato plus your Worcester sauce actually makes it a barbecue sauce. Give it a little bit of a stir. And now I'm going to start with all my spices. Some ginger garlic paste. Now remember, you don't necessarily have to cook one lamb rib at a time. If you look at this, you could pack in easily 3 to 4 ribs at one time in here and cook them all in 40 minutes. I'm adding a bit of cinnamon, just one clove. Clove has a very, very overpowering taste. So I'm using one clove and one cardamom. And then to the dry spices, I'm going to add in my jeera powder, 1 spoon of that, and a spoon of my dhana powder, a little bit of turmeric, about a teaspoonful of fine red chili powder, and another teaspoonful of the coarse chili powder. A little bit of the garlic nibs here. And I'll bring to your notice what happens to those garlic nibs at the end of it all. Very little salt, because the tomato sauce already has salt. I've got all those ingredients together. I'm not using too much water. This is the other nice thing about this machine. Unlike the conventional pressure cooker where it works entirely on pressure only, so you need to fill the pot almost halfway, and then during the cooking process it displaces all that water, and hopefully you don't run out of water, because at a point in a conventional pressure cooker you could run out of water and all your spices and everything else could burn and stick to the bottom. I'm adding some water in here. Actually, what I'll do firstly is coat my meat with the sauce. And I'm placing it face down so that the fat actually contacts the cooking surface. And then I'll put the rest of my sauce over the top. And I'm going to add water. If you look at the water mark, you can see it's absolutely no water there. I'm going to bring it to the first water mark. In fact, less than the first water mark, about halfway. So it's not even a cup full of water. I'm now ready to close off. Make sure your vent is closed over here. And I'm going to set this for 40 minutes. And now I can go and have a coffee and come back and just open the pot and serve you a lamb spare rib.
Perfect. I got cutaways also on time.
You got cutaway mixed already, you don't even have to.
My 40 minutes are up, and I'd like you to see the results of the lamb rib. At 40 minutes, it's absolutely well done. And if you want to use this on a braai, then I would suggest you cook it only for about 30 minutes, because then it will be cooked through, but it won't be really coming off the bone. This is when you want to serve it directly. As I've said earlier, I am going to place it in the oven. But just to give you an idea of what our lamb rib looks like. As you can see, it's absolutely tender. Knife just slides through there. And that's, as you can see, it's completely tender. Now this too, I'm going to now place into my oven and give it a light grill. If you want to add a little flavor to it, you could add some butter, which is what I'm going to do. Put some butter on top and grill it till the fat is crisp. I've removed my lamb rack. The thing is, if you want to use this on a braai, what I would recommend is cook it between 25 to 30 minutes. Then it won't be overcooked, and you will obviously be able to grill it and handle it on the fire and finish it off there. In that I'm using the oven, I've actually cooked it through completely. I'm just going to put some gravy over the top and then put some butter over it. As I said, if you really want to thicken the sauce, There's many ways of doing it. One, you could actually reduce it and have a very thick sauce, or otherwise use a thickener. You could use maizena or even flour to thicken it. But for now, this is fine for me. I'm going to put some butter on the top and then just place it into the oven. So here we are, I'm ready now. You could obviously do this in an oven tray. I'm using a skillet, and I'll just place this on the skillet. You can see it's actually coming off the bone. That's how well done it is. And that was in just 40 minutes. I'm going to place this into the oven and get it a bit of a crackling on the top. I'm going to get my lamb rack out of the oven. There we have it. All I need to do now is wait for my chips, and then I can serve. Well, so here we are. My air fryer is counting down. I've got 3 seconds to go. Chef Proud, if you can come and help me garnish this plate. I'm going to just add a little extra sauce on this and also put the chips on here. There we are. Crispy fried chips. And if you can garnish that for me, I'll get some of the chips out here for you. Well, so here you have it, a lamb rack cooked in 40 minutes. And as I said, if you're doing it on a braai or you don't want your meat that well done, then cook it for about 30 minutes. I've done it. You can see it's actually coming off the bone. And now that it's been crisped, you can see what the texture of the meat is. It's absolutely beautifully done. I'm just going to sprinkle some of my chip spice over the top. And there we are. It's ready to serve. And thank you. And until we see you the next time, enjoy.